everybody.
Hey, Barbie.
Hey, Barb.
Hello.
So here we are in the Mossyrock area having our June Campout 2021. And we got here yesterday. This is Wednesday. We're having our first meeting to document what we've experienced since we arrived. And it's not a whole lot, but it is some pretty good stuff. So I think, Terry, you were the first person to experience anything here, weren't you?
Yes. As I was setting up my tent, or my canopy area back there, I looked into the woods and saw what looked like a Chewbacca to me, that size. In fact, I was looking for the belt that Chewbacca. I didn't see it. And it was kind of cinnamon red with sunlight coming from the back, and it was shaggy. And I looked away. I had stared at it for a few seconds, and then I looked away and looked back, and it wasn't there anymore.
How far away from you was it?
What would you say? That's about 50,
I would say 50
feet?
or 60 feet max.
Yeah.
And we did a recreation this morning, and it was 9 foot tall. We put my
Wow.
pink coat on a stick with Rob.
Yeah, when I held it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you said you actually looked at it for 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah,
You
a
got a
few
good look
seconds.
at it.
Yeah, I got a good look.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what I was seeing.
Yeah.
What was it doing?
Standing.
Watching
I
you.
Facing
couldn't
you?
see a face or anything. I got the impression it was looking at me and trying to be still.
Okay.
And I happened just to catch it and
You
try to
didn't-
figure out what it was.
Didn't hear anything?
No.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So how long had you been here when that happened?
Less than an hour,
Really? Okay.
I would say, because we were trying to decide on camp spots and getting familiar with the place. And yeah, I was setting up stuff when I
Okay.
just looked back there.
Maybe the place was getting familiar with you too.
I guess so. I guess so.
Now that I'm thinking about it, those people were in the spot that I'm in, and he was weed whacking.
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering if it came in to see what that noise was.
Oh, the weed whacker sound.
Because you're in the next campsite
From you.
from me, and so maybe it didn't
Yeah.
know where the sound was coming, but it heard
Yeah.
the sound and it came in to see what was going on, maybe?
Yeah.
That just went through my mind, possibly.
Possibility.
Yeah, because that's
Could
not
be.
something you normally hear. I mean, you might hear a chainsaw somewhere, but it was unusual.
And I was making a little bit of noise trying to get the tent cover on my canopy of my truck.
Oh,
And so I was moving around,
Yeah.
moving the cooler around and
yeah,
all my stuff. So
trying to see what you were up to.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
thank you.
Welcome to another campout.
Yes.
We're gonna call her the welcome wagon.
Yeah,
She comes into
No,
camp,
don't.
something
That's
happens.
fine. If I'm
That can be taken
just
a few
observing.
ways. And we're a G-rated club.
So, yesterday, I think everybody was here except you hadn't arrived yet, Penny. We had gotten our group area here set up, and we're sitting around the fire, and you and I both heard a couple of screams that at the time we were thinking they were pretty far away.
Yes.
And since then, we've gone around. This is a different kind of terrain for what we're usually in. It's a very flat area. There's a little rise of ground over here, but then it plateaus. So we don't have any mountainsides around us to echo back sound. And the vegetation at ground level is really very thick. So what we did was we had both Penny and Rob make the loop through the campground doing whoops and hollers so that we could get an idea of how sound carries through here. And we were kind of surprised to discover that at the far end of the campground, we could still make out Rob, but we couldn't hear you at all, Penny. So we're thinking that maybe some of those screams that we were hearing weren't quite so far away as we were thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few other things that have happened. Last night, it was raining a bit, so we had pulled this canopy here up closer to the fire, and sometimes it's hard to hear things when you're under the canopy. I was at the edge of it, and Tracy, you had come out from under it. You had just stood up, hadn't you?
Yeah, well, we were sitting around the fire. I was on the opposite side, but I could hear something between here and the creek.
Yeah, and we both reacted to it. To me, it sounded like something large just right over there, big and wet, took off.
It was something that was moving.
Yeah, something moving. And so this morning, you know, that was just a sound we heard in the darkness. We didn't know what it was. But this morning, the sun just happened to hit some of these vine maple leaves, and we could see where there was one limb that was no longer horizontal. The leaves had gone vertical. And it's very swampy and difficult to move back in there, but I did get close enough to reach up with my stick and knock it loose. So what had happened, it appears, was something had moved through and hung up that branch on a branch beside it as it was going away in that direction, just right over here. Can't say for sure that's what it was, but that's what we've observed this morning after hearing something
And
over
the
there.
branch was pretty high up. So
Very
it
high.
It wasn't a ground animal at all. It was high.
Yeah, it was at least 4 feet above me. I had to reach up with a stick to touch it.
Yeah.
And nothing
how
was
tall are you?
broken. There were no limp, wilted leaves or anything.
You're about 5'10" or so.
5'9".
5'9".
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. It was high.
Did you
Yep.
have rocks thrown at you?
Well, that was
Oh yeah. So tell us about that.
When I got into camp last night,
Oh.
when I got into camp last night, I took the farthest campsite down there, and I was setting up camp, and it was probably 8 o'clock at night. It was starting to get dark, actually. I was worried about setting up camp in the dark, and anyway, I backed my Jeep up to unload it, and I have a styrofoam cooler that I set down out of the way, and I'm setting up camp, and I hear something hit the styrofoam cooler, and actually I realized it was a pebble that had hit the styrofoam cooler twice, actually. And then while I'm setting up camp, a couple of other pebbles were thrown at my Jeep and hit my Jeep while I was setting up.
Wow.
And then I got most of my camp set up, and between my camp and the creek, there was a kind of a woof or a bark, nothing that was menacing, but just kind of a woof sort of sound.
Okay.
not a canine.
No, not a. It's hard to describe. Just kind of like the other thing that happened here at camp. It sounded like a kind of a horse snorting. The that sort of thing. This was more of a. I don't know.
Okay. So
I
the
can't
horse
duplicate it.
thing.
Yeah.
Did you heard that over here, or was that you, Penny? Who heard the horse?
I did.
You
It was
did.
here. It was here at the fire.
And when was that?
That was last night, right here again.
Okay, so this morning I heard that same sound. Everybody had walked out this way, and we were going in that direction, and I was 50 feet behind everybody. And as I got out to the road right there, just from across the road, I heard what sounded like a horse doing the type of thing. And yeah, so I didn't realize at the time that I heard it that you had basically heard the exact same thing just right over here.
Well, Terry asked me last night what it sounded like, and I couldn't describe it. But when you said this morning it sounded like a horse, that was exactly what it sounded like.
And
Deer snort?
well, you know, we haven't seen any deer
Elk?
sign or elk sign in here.
Well,
We've
there's
seen.
a few hoofs.
Is there?
around.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen no elk tracks,
Hoof
no elk
prints.
poop. Maybe
I
some
haven't
deer.
seen poop, but there's some hoof prints. I've saw it down in one of the campsites.
You know, now that you mentioned that about the deer, what I heard last night could have been that, but the deer sound is a little more sharp. It's a little higher pitched than what this was. This was more like the lips together,
Do it again.
sort of, you know, the.
Little raspberries.
I get it. But I'm not going to discount the possibility,
Yeah.
except for it would be unusual because it was probably 10:30, 11 o'clock last night after dark, and deer
Usually tend
typically,
to been dead.
wouldn't be coming up to the campground after dark
Yeah.
to see what's going
Okay.
on, but I don't know. It could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
And,
You know what? The other thing I thought of when you came over to camp last night, and were telling us about the styrofoam bin. You said you had just had a thought in your head. Gee, I wonder how they feel about styrofoam.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
That's
A pebble
exactly
gets
what happened.
tossed.
The thought crossed my mind.
yeah,
When I set the styrofoam down or the styrofoam thing down, because I don't like to buy styrofoam, but I needed to because of where I was at. But anyway, when I set it down, the thought crossed my mind. I wonder if they like styrofoam or not. And then I go to walk to my camp, and then a rock hits it.
yeah.
I don't know if that means anything. But
I think it's pretty cool that you
Yeah.
had that
Yeah, it
thought,
is.
and there was
And
your
then it
answer.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah, and then what was it last night? Actually, early this morning, I woke up because, like, I know it was early morning because I could just start to see the trees. And at night here, everything is pitch black. I mean, oh God, especially in the bus where I got tinted windows and mirrored whatever on there. So it's really dark in there. So I'm looking out and I could see, just starting to see the trees, just barely. And I hear, just like over in Greenwater, stadium noise, but now it sounds like a concert. Instead of like a soccer match, it sounds like somebody's playing music and a concert. Well, there's nobody here to play any kind of music. I mean, there's no campsites any far past where I could hear it.
No, we're pretty remote here.
And and so I'm thinking sometimes when you're sleeping, if your ear's a certain way, you get an air rush in there, and it might sound like a concert or something. So I turned over on my back so I could hear with both ears, and I still hear it. But then all of a sudden, too, while I'm hearing concert music, I can hear two ladies talking, and nobody's up here talking. I mean, I heard you earlier at 7, but this had to be like 4 or 5 or whatever time it was. And yeah, two ladies talking, and then some other people here have heard two ladies talking too. And like I said, stadium noise. It's really weird. It's like there are concerts going on in maybe it's going on in my head. I don't know. But it was quite weird.
Okay, well, I was one of the people that heard the ladies talking this morning. I forget what I was doing. I was walking that way, headed there. The road goes back here, and it makes a loop to the other campsites. And just as I was starting to go around the corner, I could hear the muffled sounds of women's voices, and I fully expected to see you guys walking up the road toward me when I went around the bend, and there was nobody there. And then I could see, Penny, you were down at your campsite, and I hollered at you. Were you talking? And you said, no, it wasn't you. You didn't say anything. So then, here just a little while ago, we were all on exploring back up the river, back up this way, and there were some people that had drove in that weren't part of our group. So I walked back up here, and I'm coming up the road this way, and they had all pulled in here and turned around and just parked there. So my focus was on them. And as I'm coming around that bend in the road over here, right where I was pretty much when I heard the women's voices, a stick and a piece of bark hit the ground beside me. Not only do I hear them, but I can see that the stick came from behind me, and the piece of bark is on the ground, rolling on the ground. So I'm thinking they must have been holding both and threw them together, or maybe there were two individuals that each threw something at the same time, something like that. But it was...
So it was rolling, so it didn't just drop
No,
straight
it
down.
didn't. No, it
rolling across.
like skidded the ground from behind me and hit the ground and rolled. So that was interesting. And then after they left, these people, they were looking for a campsite, so there's nothing available here. We have the whole place reserved for our group. They left, and I went over to my car, which you kind of see through the trees there, and I just sat in the driver's seat and plugged my phone into charge. And right back over in here, there was just a tremendous stick break, just huge snap.
Cool.
And that's while the rest of you were still back up that way. So there was something you found yesterday that we were looking at back there this morning. You want to talk about
I found
that?
it this morning.
Oh, this morning.
So,
Okay.
yeah, after I got up, I was making coffee, and I decided to do some drumming. because we hadn't done that yet, and I just wanted to do some soft drumming, make a noise. So I was doing that, waiting for the coffee, and I decided to walk down my little path to the creek. And I went out on the little beach. There's a little rocky beach area, and I noticed these kind of scooped out holes. They're probably about yay big, and they're probably about yay deep, and they're just scooped out, and the dirt is mounded behind them. So something's been scooping it out. But what was really odd was that there were 4 of them, and they're right all in a row, and they're all scooped out with these mounds of dirt and rock. So I thought that was very odd. So I walked on further and found a 5th one. And then I walked on further into the water and found a 6th one right on the edge, and it now has water in it. But you can still see where it's been mounded a little bit, not like the first 4.
So that last one appeared to be a little older than the rest.
Yeah. Or maybe worn because of the water in
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. But it was just unusual. They were all in a line, so I knew it wasn't a bear. Something had scooped this out. And they are totally in a row. So it was right on the bank of the dirt where you have to walk up a couple steps to get up to the... So that was very peculiar. So then I kept looking further, looking at rocks, and found a possible print. And so then I went back, turned the coffee off, went down, took some photos of all of it. And then after I came and had coffee, I thought, well, I'm going to start looking at the other banks along the different camp areas, and found another possible print and a possible heel print coming from, well, one set was coming from the water up, and the other set was going to the water. So
Okay.
the second one was going towards the water.
And they were in line.
Yeah, and it comes right off of a game trail.
Okay.
Not the trail that I was traveling. It was definitely a game trail and going from the water or into the water. So it was very interesting.
Wow.
And it was heavy enough to disperse the gravel, the rocks. Yeah.
But they
Wow.
weren't messy.
No,
They
they're
were
not
all
messy
very
at all.
neat for what
Yeah.
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think with everything that we've already experienced already, I mean, they're definitely here. We know that it's
Yeah.
a great habitat for them. So
And we measured the stride of the...
yes, it was 59 inches was the step length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Heel to heel was 59 inches. That's a big step.
5
I
feet,
couldn't
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So that was heel to heel, so that was good.
Well, good find, Sandy.
Yeah, that was fun. So I want to do some more drumming later, and I've set up a few game pieces back there, and Penny gave me some glass, and I'm going to try and set that up and
Well,
see if we can get them to interact with us.
cool.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Awesome.
it was fun.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear something? No?
Not for you.
We'll have to check the footage. Maybe we picked it up. I didn't hear it myself. Oh,
Cool.
okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything they want to share?
Anything, Penny?
No, nothing definitive. It's just
Yeah.
what you think you hear, but you've got your hood on. It's
Yeah.
raining.
Yeah.
You're squeaking in your boots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody get scared last night and leave their tent and get in their car?
Quite possibly. And it wasn't scared. I just wanted to sleep well.
Oh, it was
and
you.
be
I wasn't
quiet.
insinuating anything.
Oh, sure you were. Sure you were. No, I pulled the whole, rack and attack and put it in the car and slept nights.
Well, you'll be much braver tonight. You know, you're not
Pat's
traveling.
Not here to
and-
protect me. I mean, throw her at him.
Yeah, you only have to be faster than the slowest person.
That's right.
That's
There
right.
you go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if that's it, then I guess we're going to wrap up our meeting. We're going to get back to camping and squatching and having a fine time and looking for some adventures and some interactions. And we will be back tomorrow morning to tell you all about what happens.
Yay!
Yeah, so thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Where should we not walk, Sandy?
So I saw this, and I marked it with that. But from that angle, I'm like, is that possibly a toe box
Right, and the
that
heel.
goes back?
Oh my.
See
Yeah.
it? And this just fell in as an extra.
Get out
But
of the way.
see, it goes back there. So I saw that, so I flagged it, and then because I'd seen the other one down there, and then I thought, interesting. So this one's going into the water, and it's coming right off of that game trail.
Oh yeah.
So this is depending on where you put your, if it's a possible print, and it's all pushed up, see?
Yeah, the
So-
rocks have been displaced by
Yeah.
something large, for
Something
sure.
heavy.
Because the
So-
water didn't do that.
So if that's the heel, then it's about 17.5 inches when you measure this possible toe here. 17.5 to 18. And if you go from here,
50% rule.
yeah, it's 9.5-ish. And back here, it's somewhere about 4.5 to 5, depending on how this comes around. I don't think that's it. I think it's in here.
Yeah.
You can see just a baby ridge. So see,
Yeah.
and this rock just fell somewhere.
Rolled in by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
this to me is very interesting. So then I went back and measured the other one down there.
Similar.
Very similar. Yeah. I just thought it was peculiar. That's not a deer,
No.
not a bear.
Well, and another thing to look for and
Yeah.
see if this is a crossing point,
It's about
Sandy.
9.
Have
Look
we
on
got-
the other side.
I was going to say, it looks like something's going up the bank over there. And that
Yeah.
Right there.
Right over there.
Right here.
What's the? Oh yeah. I see that.
So it's right there. And the other one's right there.
Ah.
It goes right on that trail. So this one, I just put the outline
Okay.
of what is possible. Because if you look at it, you can see the heel back here
Absolutely.
coming around. And this is deeper, there's a ridge. And then up here, there's a ridge through there. And this is mounded, this is lower,
Uh-huh.
and it comes back there.
But you didn't
So-
alter any rocks.
No.
The rocks are as they were.
They're as they were.
Wow.
And this one, if it is a print, somewhere up in there, it's about 14.5. And depending on where this is placed, could be 8 inches. And then this one back here is about 4.25 possibly. Because you
Wow.
can see a little bridge.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, and you
and
can see
then-
a little break.
Yeah, I was going to say the push
Break.
of the rocks. That's awesome.
And then this here is what possibly could be a partial with the heel part.
Maybe if they were running,
I don't
maybe
know.
Is there a
one,
trail across?
2, 3, or just 1, 2.
I don't see there, but yeah, I definitely see that. And it goes right up to that trail. So they're going that way. And then from over there, I don't know where it could have went, but it could have went anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this is not as well defined, but it caught my eye because of that. I thought that was very interesting.
Very cool.
There's similar ones over here too,
Are there?
but they're a little higher up. They're not real big. You can see them back there.
Oh, right there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we got Right here
Look at that one. Yeah.
and right there.
So they're not very big, but they're deep enough that whatever it was
Had weight on it.
had some
And,
weight to it.
and it's not like a bear because it's in a row.
That's right.
And I know
Well, it
bear,
must have been moving with some kind of force to push the rocks out.
Yeah.
So that the feet must have been sliding into place.
Or
Or maybe it was on all fours and the feet were kicking out from the sides
Yeah.
as it moved.